Hey guys, welcome to another video. In this video we are going to go ahead and convert a regular Space Wolf Terminator into a Wolf Priest in Terminator armor. Wolf Priests are a great HQ choice. They buff up your units with, I think, either rerolls to hit or rerolls to wounds, as well as give them fearless. So it is a good HQ choice. The other good HQ choices are also Ruin Priests, but we'll get into that later. So in this video we'll go ahead and convert a Wolf Priest and then get it painted. So in the first part we'll do the conversion, and the second part of the video we will go ahead and paint it up. So let's get at it. Okay, here we have the pieces laid out for the Terminator. We're going to be using to convert into a Wolf Priest Terminator. Basically just get a regular Terminator, Space Wolf Terminator from the Terminator box. Here's the base I worked on. Used Magic Sculpt to sculpt out the rock cropping there. And took pieces of Chaos Marine and go ahead and made them dead. Also stuck a Chaos symbol there, icon. It's probably from the Rhino tank for a Chaos Marine. Now here's the Thunder Hammer that came with the Space Marine, and we'll be changing it into a Crozius. We'll just take this icon and stick it on top of the handle there, and we'll cut off the hammer part piece. Now this kit bit came with a shield. I'll just go ahead and put that aside. I'm not going to be using that. Here are all the other pieces here. We got some pieces for weaponry, and I will be making a combo melt-a-gun here. So we'll be taking the Storm Bolter here and then mounting it with the Metagun after some conversion there. We have a cloak from the Chaos Commander Marine, I believe, and the cloak from the regular Space Wolf Terminator's box. And then also we got a headpiece from Chaos Terminator there that we will be converting and cutting up. So let's go ahead and put the body together. What I'm using here is Tamiya's extra thin cement. This is great glue, especially for styrene type of plastic, or most of the plastics here. It's very thin, and it flows right in between the cracks and stuff, and it melts plastic right together and be perfect for this type of job, especially putting figures together. Alright, now that we got the top part of the body done, we're going to go ahead and put it on the stand, and we're kind of going to have to gauge it how we want to pose it before we glue in the lower and top part of the body. So you know, it takes a little finessing just to see where you want to put it and how you want to pose them. And we'll go ahead and glue the top and bottom half together. Now, I went ahead and cut off the wolf's head off of the cape of the Space Marine's Terminator cloak, and I went ahead and mounted and glued it on top of the Space Marines as such. And for the pelts here, for the claws, I will be attaching one on the right and one on the left one draped over his shoulder, and we'll be doing that later. I'm currently waiting for the green stuff to come in. So let's work on the Crozius here. We'll take the Thunder Hammer and the icon here, and the Thunder Hammer, we'll go ahead and cut off the two pieces of the Thunder Hammer here, and then we'll go ahead and cut off the mounting point there for the icon, and that will fit in just like that. We'll go ahead and drill a hole into the handle. First of all, let's go ahead and file down the obstruction there, and make it a little narrower so that we could just go ahead and drill a hole here into the handle, and then insert that piece in there, and then just glue it on. Now, just to make it a little more decorative, I took a wolf skull icon and stuck it on the Crozius, just to make it a little more wolfy. And there you have it. Now let's go ahead and make the combi weapon here. Basically taking a Storm Bolter and then snipping out the cartridge and sanding down the underside of the bolter, and then we're going to take the melt-a-gun and then pretty much cutting out the handle part, pretty much the back part of it, and then we'll mount it below the storm bolter. I like the heavier weapon mounted below and having the storm bolter on top of the actual weapon itself. And here you can see how it's cut up, the storm bolter here, and then how the melta gun is cut up. We'll get that thing glued together, and then you'll have the final product. Let's go ahead and magnetize the arms. Now I took another figure I've already done, and I use it as a base so that I could see where the polarizations are for the magnets. I take out the magnets out of the package, and then I stick a couple on both sides of the arm, and then use a marker to mark out where the polarization is. That way I could do it the same way for this miniature. That way I could keep switching arms around and stuff like that. Now you can get magnets anywhere, like on eBay and stuff, but magnets on eBay is pretty expensive. Here's where I get my stuff. Go to amazingmagnets.com. You buy them in bulk. I buy them like 200, 500, maybe 1,000, just to get a huge bulk discount. But you know, you get enough magnets, it'll last you for a long, long time. Now what I use to glue in the magnets is crazy glue. In this case it's Gorilla Crazy Glue, and basically I make sure the magnets stuck on like my X-Acto knife at the right polarization, and then I'll put in some glue and then slide the magnet inside the hole while I use my other finger to hold it in. And then once you got it in, you're good. Make sure it's flat, and then use some zip kicker to dry it up really quick. At this point, I noticed once I magnetized the arms, I put them in, the weapons were just way too long, so I went ahead and shortened the melta part under the bolter. I had to cut it out and re-glue it in after fixing it up. Now what we'll do here is use green stuff and patch in the blank areas of the pelt on top of the Terminator here. Now I've gotten in a conversation with Les over at Awesome Paint Job, and we were talking on the phone about which is better. He's never used Magic Sculpt before, but he's heard of it, and I've never used green stuff until this figure here, so I was trying to figure out what the difference is. Now the price on green stuff is pretty steep. I mean, you get so little for the amount of money that you have to pay for it versus what you get for Magic Sculpt. And he was telling me, well, you know, green stuff graining is really, really small, so it's really smooth and easy to work with. And I was looking up the curing time and the work time, and they're both pretty much the same for green stuff and Magic Sculpt. So I've worked with Magic Sculpt, and it comes out smooth, hard as a rock. Okay, I mean, I made a figure once, and it's hard as a rock. I throw it, probably kill someone with it, but it comes out really heavy, really hard. So the only difference I see though between the two is that green stuff, when it comes out of the package and after mixing it, it's pretty gummy, and it's already started. You know, you can work with it. It's kind of like a harder. It's kind of hard, like a more gummy Play-Doh, so it holds the form much better. Now, Magic Sculpt, when you first mix it up, it comes out like Play-Doh. It's really soft and stuff like that. If you wait 20 minutes, the consistency then turns to about what green stuff is. So I don't know which is better. It's really, I guess, preference. You know, whatever you want. But I'll probably stick more with Magic Sculpt. But keep green stuff on hand, because with that, you know, that softness there, you can actually do a lot more, you know, faster molding and stuff. So if I had Magic Sculpt, if I had to mold something from scratch or something, if I had to sculpt something from scratch, a figure or something, then I'd use Magic Sculpt. It's cheaper, and it starts off softer and easier to work with between that 20 minutes before it turns more into like the green stuff texture. So we'll go ahead and take the Chaos Terminator captain's head here. We'll shave it down a little, and then we'll put a wolf skull icon onto it. Then we'll use green stuff to exaggerate it just a little bit, shaping it into more of a bigger skull. than that little thin icon that we got here. Now it's kind of easy, it's kind of fun. You just gotta use your imagination. You gotta know, how much to shave down, and just keep checking. Glue it on, and then just go ahead and just use green stuff to fill in all the other areas to expand the skull a little bigger, a little wider, until you get the final results you want. So here's the figure pretty much completed. Everything green stuffed up, sculpted out right, everything glued in and magnetized. One change I did do was on the Crozius. I shortened it a little. It was too long. It looked more like a two-handed weapon than a one-handed weapon. So I went ahead and shortened that. The final thing that we have to do is go ahead and mount the figure onto the base. What we'll do is drill some holes on the feet, use a pin, which in this case is a paper clip, and then we'll super glue it in and use the kicker to dry it up really quick, and then you'll see how it's done here. Just start with the legs, put the pin in, and then once the pin's in, you just snip it down a bit, and then you could use that as a gauge for the base. You could either press it in if the base is soft enough, or put some paint on the pins and then place it correctly, and then the paint will make marks on where you should drill on the base. And here we are. This is primered with Vallejo's urethane acrylic primer, and I primered it white. This brings out all the details and allows you to check for any problems that you might have to go back and readjust before you start painting. And that's it for this video for the conversion part. As you can tell, you can convert anything in 40K as long as you have the patience and the creativity. On the next video, we'll go ahead and paint up the Space Wolf Space Priest in probably a dark or black color scheme. I will figure it out when I start recording, so I'll see you then. If you're into scale modeling or want to get some scale modeling tips and techniques, check out my channel for scale modeling, SM Consortium. For more tutorial videos on how to paint your figures, check out Les's channel at Awesome Paint Job.